When abuse feels like love. Listen to that statement again. When abuse feels like love. It takes time, effort, and understanding to decide that enough is enough. More than just enough. After being tricked, manipulated, molested, or raped, or any other harmful thing that could possibly happen to you. I woke up this morning with much on my mind. And at first, I didn't know why it was on my mind. But then I took a nice deep breath and I knew why. I often think about the relationship between my parents. When did my father start to abuse my mother? Was it after my mother became pregnant or after she had their firstborn, my big sister, Mary Elizabeth? Abusers will not risk becoming abusers until they are confident their partner will not leave them. This is often after the marriage or the birth of a child. I came from a family with more than a handful of siblings. We all were exposed to mental abuse and sometimes physical abuse, as was our mother. Abusers want power over their victims because they feel powerless themselves. They are usually weak-minded people who on the outside have nothing to talk about or nothing to be brave about. Our mother and her children were all victims of my father's abuse. I often wanted to ask him why he was the way he was, but I never did, and now it is too late, for he has passed. My mother was so kind-hearted. She always, until her death, gave him a pass, saying that your father lived the best life that he knew how to live. I never accepted that until after they were both gone from this earth. Maybe my mother was right, but it was something that I did not want to deal with. Whether you are in a relationship living with unpredictable anger, mental or physical abuse, this is betrayal at its worst. Whether you are male or female, you are not alone. There are many males and females in the same boat trying to survive because they think abuse is love. Loving someone who hurt you may leave you feeling confused and unsure of what to do. Friends just might ask you, why don't you leave? You may be thinking, what if they change? What if it's my fault? I caused all this. What if this is what love is all about? Maybe you came from an abusive family. Maybe your father abused your mother or your mother abused your father. Maybe you grew up with it and that's what you think is the right thing to do. I believe my mother stayed because she had 7 children. She could not drive. She was a high school dropout from the 10th grade and a housewife. I feel that if my grandmother had not rescued my mother, would have eventually been killed by my father. It is possible to love your abuser, and it is also possible for you to step away from such a relationship. And yes, it will take a lot of guts to do it, but you can do it. Intimate partner violence is on the rise. It's been around forever. It's just more open because we have so much social media around us. We see it everywhere. Partner stalking, threatening, physical and sexual violence, humiliating people in public, their victims in public, verbal violence, financial control. Financial control was one of the things that my mother ran up against. She was a housewife. My father was outside making the money. He gave her what he wanted her to have. So she did not have control over the finance of the family. You must figure out how to get out of that relationship, and you must do it now before it's too late. You must make a safety plan to leave an abusive relationship. It is a plan that is personalized and practical for you and your children, if there are any. Carefully think through possible scenarios and determine how best to cope with the abuser. Let family and friends who are close to you know what is going on and reach out to legal help if you need it. Make sure that the family and friends are somebody who are confident and will keep it to themselves, because many of us have family members who cannot wait to gossip and your plan will be destroyed. So make sure you know who you are speaking to, who is going to be helping you with your plan. You must have ideas on how to support yourself and stay safe once you left the relationship. Remember that your brain often will not work as effectively when you are faced with a crisis. It may be hard to remember important phone numbers, so you have to make sure you have them somewhere where you can get to them quick enough. Addresses and other information when you are focused on surviving may just be a blur. Having your safety plan in place is a way to protect you if things escalate. Create several reasons for leaving the house at different times of the day or night. Find unnecessary errands to run. Practice how to get out of the house safely, including with others who may need to leave as well. For me, when I was 10, my grandmother came for my mother. When my father was away, she took my mother's clothing, some paperwork, and left us behind. We thought my mother was leaving us, but actually it was part of my grandmother and my mother's plan, who did come back for us later. Keep weapons like guns and knives locked away. Be mindful of how clothing and jewelry can be used to physically harm you. I know you don't think about that, but you have to think about that. I had to sip my tea there. Scarves and necklaces could be used to strangle you, or long braids if you wear braids. The abuser could use that to wrap around your neck and strangle you. Always back your car into your driveway and lock all of the doors except the driver's door. If violence is unavoidable, make yourself as physically small as possible. Move to a corner if you can get to one. Curl into a ball with your face protected and arms around each side of your head and your fingers tight together. Use the National Domestic Violence Hotline when you have the opportunity. 800-799-7233. Now remember, intimate partner violence is wrong. And abuse is not love. Abuse is never love. Should not feel like love. Get your strength together, make your plan, and figure out how to get you, and if you have your children, and your children out of such a relation. God be with all of you. Stay strong, and you will be okay.